Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to check out the Burnham Project on Substack. You can get Burnham podcasts, you can read my blogs and all sorts of cool stuff. It can even be sent right into your inbox. You can also watch us on Rumble and YouTube. We like Rumble better, but you can also watch us on YouTube. You can also find Burnham Podcast anywhere that you find your favorite podcast. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, click the little bells, the Rumble button, whatever the service has to offer. Click it, do that, follow us, tell people about us. Thank you very much. So tonight, or this morning, or when you're listening, whatever time it is, we've got Mr. MatthewCory on. He's a rapper, up-and-coming artist, local guy. He just released a single called Ain't the Same on his album Thrive in Faith. He's got 7 more tracks coming out probably in the fall, which won't matter if you listen to this 5 years from now. Go back and look him up. That's what we're talking about in this episode. Welcome to Burnham Podcast. I'm your host, Danny Burnham. I just want to make sure we were starting in the right place.
Yeah.
Because again, the light is on. And I don't know what it is about the light. Like, it changes everything. And then you start talking like you're in the interview. But anyway, here we are. Matthew Benefield. How's it going, man?
It's great, man. How are you?
I'm good. How long has it been since we were in the same room together?
10 years at least.
Has it been 10? I guess you guys were both 2013 kids, right?
Yeah.
14. Okay, so y'all weren't in the same class. So to tie it together for the listener, I used to work at a local high school that Matthew and producer Tango used to attend. They were a year apart. It's been 10 years. You're old now. You're growing
10-year
up.
reunion coming up.
I guess so. Let's see. I'm looking at 30 years. Wow. Anyway, moving right along. So we were talking off air. You've grown up now. You're a family man. You got all this stuff going on. Tell what's up with your family?
Man, I got one son. He just turned 2 years old, May 1st, and I've been making music. I've been making music for the last 8 years, but currently I'm making Christian music.
There you go.
Yeah. I'm in a new game now.
So you made a switch at some point then?
Yes.
So what happened?
Life, and when I say life, I mean mercy probably. And when I say mercy, I mean God showed up and He showed out when He could take everything away from you, but instead He spared you.
Oh man.
Yeah, and that is really when everything went the other direction, and I really just put down everything negative in my life and jumped straight into where I'm at now.
So we're looking at like a moment, like did you have some near-death experience? Like there's always a story,
there's
right?
plenty of near-death experiences, but no, it wasn't nothing like that. When I had got saved, it was in 2019, which was a very, very rough year for me. My best friend, who I started making music with together, he passed away at the end of February in 2019, and then the following July, my grandfather passed away, and then 2 months later, my grandmother passed away. So in a 6-month time span, the 3 closest people in my life all went away. So
right.
At first things were spiraling out of control. I didn't know how to deal with it. So I was down here on Broad Street getting arrested, and yeah. But then I mean, my mom she begged me to go to church with her to her best friend's son was a pastor, and so we went there, and I really loved it because I never heard it preached like that. I grew up going to church because I felt like I had to go to church.
Right.
You know?
That's what we do in Georgia, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And I got up on Sunday mornings, went with my family and everything, but as soon as church is out, I'm back to being a wild kid.
Yeah.
And so that kind of growing up, I kind of got out of that, and I didn't really go to church because I started really getting judged a lot by the church goers, because you see me, I got tattoos all over my body. Yeah. I wasn't the nicest kid growing up, always into trouble. So it kind of pushed me out of the church for a really long time up until that point. And then once I went to jail that last time, I was like, something's got to give. And I really had a breakdown moment with God, and that's when I got saved. But it really didn't stop there though, because I got saved, and then eventually I kind of returned to old habits. And then most recent, my son was born and everything, and then I would say probably about 6 months ago. It's
real game changer.
Yes,
right.
It changed my life, and I was making this music, and music has always been a part of me. Like, I love music. Music helps you. It's meditation. It's a remedy. And for a while though, like, the music was a negative part of my life because I was using it the wrong way.
Right.
And so the preacher preached on something one day about using your talents for good. And I remember there's these two sisters that go to my church, and they can sing wonderfully. Like, they are, like,
shout them out, man. You're the third rapper I've had on here. I need some lady singers on here.
Hey, honestly, I only know one of their names. It's Morgan Anaker, though. I'll give you that.
Okay.
Yeah, they're younger though. They're younger.
Okay.
I think they just like graduated high school, but they're straight original. Play guitar. They can harmonize each other perfectly.
Okay.
Yeah, and like, so I was like, man, dude, like, cause they was always like glorifying God up there on the pulpit, like, man,
That's awesome.
And I was like, man, I wish I could do something like that. And my mom was like, you know what, you can do something like that. And I was like, she said, you're great with words. Like, I mean, you've already got like somewhat of a career with this music, so like, why not change it?
Yeah.
And like, so I started trying to write this music, and like I tried to do it at a wrong aspect though. Like, I was trying to do it too biblically, and like, because I didn't know how to like really transition into this music.
Right.
And so I was like, man, I can't completely take away like what made me me, you know, like, I gotta put my testimonies in this song, because a lot of Christian songs like it's one direction, like it's a happy lie, and like and you live in this certain way, or at least that's what it gives off. And I'm like, man, there's still darkness to this, so like, you gotta bring people to the light.
Okay, well, that's what I was going to ask when you said too biblically. I was like, wait a minute, where's she going with this?
Oh, when I drop the album, you will see. Like, it is crazy. And I'm dropping a 7-song album coming up, and I think it's gonna be a banger.
Now, you just put a single out, right?
Yeah, I just dropped a single.
What's it called?
Ain't the Same.
Ain't the Same. And
Yeah.
I imagine this is about your transformation.
Yes, it is. And what this song did, it didn't go too deep on anything, but it kind of summarizes what I've been through in the last 6 months, and kind of leaves you wanting more a little bit. And like, the moral of it is like, if I can do it, anybody can do it. If God can get through to me, he can get through to you.
Yeah.
And because, I mean, obviously everybody listening, I mean, they know who I am, formerly known as Benny DeVille.
Yeah.
I wasn't the greatest person out here. So, and I've sinned a lot, and I've sinned hard. And if God can get to me and use me for positivity, then he can do the same to you. That you're never too far gone.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you were Benny DeVille before you made this transition.
Yeah, Benny DeVille.
What are you calling yourself on stage now?
I'm MatthewCory.
MatthewCory.
And the reason behind that is because Benny DeVille, I loved Benny DeVille because my last name's Benefield, and growing up, one of my best friends' girlfriends, they would always come over, and she would just always be like, Benny and the Jets, like, because of my last name and stuff. And I hated it at first, but then eventually I kind of owned up to it. And I was driving like a Pontiac Coupe at the time. And I was like, man, Coupe DeVille, Benny DeVille. Oh man, Benny DeVille. And like, so I started rocking with that name, and I did a lot of big stuff with that name. I opened up for Travis Porter. I opened up for D4L. I won second place in a couple different showcases. And the most surreal moment of that career was, I was in Atlanta. Nobody knew who I was. I get on stage and I'm singing my song, and by the end, they're singing the hook back to me, and that was honestly the most surreal moment of my life.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
so people never heard it before, and they picked it up by the end. That's great, man.
Yeah.
So it lets you know though that when you had that moment, you realize they're listening and you've connected with the audience, which is like, I don't get a ton of that in this medium, unless somebody comments on YouTube or Facebook or whatever. But it's not like, this is not direct audience interaction, but it's got to be cool. We were talking about this, I think in the last episode, and people will abuse it some or whatever, and it turns into a power thing. Like the way that you're doing it, less of this aspect, but like in church, when somebody's on stage and they're like, I bet I can get everybody to raise their hands. And then when they do, it turns into a me thing. But you're talking about performing on stage, and we're not talking about like singing worship songs in church or whatever. But so there's a little bit of a line there, but that's awesome to know, like to get that audience interaction.
Yeah, it was definitely surreal. Yeah. Like it felt like an 8 Mile moment. Like,
right.
and I mean, like, I wanted to use that kind of energy for good though. Like, because I always see these praise songs. Like I just mentioned those sisters at church coming up and and using their voice for God. And I'm like, man, I want to do that. And like, but I didn't want to do it the wrong way. Like I didn't want to like step on nobody's toes by doing it.
Right.
By coming at it the way that I come at it. And so like I had to change my whole mindset a little bit, but I noticed that I couldn't throw away everything that I am, because everything that I am and everything that I went through is what led me to this right
It's
here.
your testimony.
Right.
Yeah.
And people will say it's negative, and it's a negative positive is what I like to call it.
Yeah.
Like, because I mean, what makes a light shine brighter? The darkness. I mean, you got to come from somewhere. Not anybody is perfect.
Yeah. So you talk about who you used to be, I guess, in your new music, and that makes a compelling story. I was having this conversation. Was it you, Tango? We were talking about the difference or the similarities between rap and country.
I think it was.
Might have been, but how it's you tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
Like the best rap songs ever are just somebody telling a story. And we got into at some point where like it was about how big my rims are and how much money I got, and then we're like, well, that's not so much fun. But like.
And that's kind of where it went. Like, that's the direction. Like, everybody's just talking about what's popular, and it don't really have meaning to it. And country and rap is kind of like on the same level.
It's the same thing.
Yeah. And again, like where MatthewCory comes in is because for a long time after I started getting so much confidence as being Benny DeVille, like I forgot who I actually was. And I got lost in the sauce, so to say.
Yeah.
And like, so I was Benny DeVille, like, and so like I was acting out a character. I wasn't being myself. And then I was like, man, like what's wrong with the name that your mother gave you? And yeah, so I was like, man, like, I mean, Benny DeVille is an awesome name. And I've had so many people reach out to me like, bro, don't give up your name like that. Don't give up your name that's so original. I was like, nah, man, I'm not hiding behind a name no more. Like,
nothing more original than your own name.
Yeah,
right?
like I'm not hiding at all. Like, my mom named me MatthewCory Benefield, so I'm gonna go by MatthewCory. You know.
Well, and you give yourself a name, like a stage name, and if you're not real careful, that's who you become, right? And I remember watching. This is a totally different genre of entertainment, but like Ric Flair talked about that.
See, I was just about to bring up the WWE comparison.
Yeah.
I grew up watching WWE, and that's kind of, I love that. I love that you could portray yourself as somebody different than what everybody else sees you on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And that's great, and that's fine and dandy as long as you can control it.
Well, that was what he said. Like he became Ric Flair, right, and was throwing money all over the place, and ultimately it cost him his family and and his house and all this stuff, and he kind of had to get back to being realizing who he was and separating himself from that person on stage. And, but it sounds like you're headed in the right direction as far as that goes.
Yes, sir. Like, I mean, I noticed it. I kind of noticed it too late, but that's where that word mercy comes back in. Like,
right.
And I mean, I know God's always been there, even when I was doing wrong. Like, I should be in prison probably right now for some of the stuff that I've done. But, but we're not going to go into that. But, yeah, like, God showed mercy. Like, there should be, my whole life shouldn't even exist right now, probably, but it does solely because of him,
right.
and because I guess he feels like I have a purpose to serve, which I do have a purpose to serve. And
seems that way, right?
Yeah, and there's no greater purpose than glorifying him, and that's what I'm here for, and I'm all in for it.
So you got, we said you got a single, and you're working on 7 more songs. Is that right?
7 more songs. When
are you gonna drop those?
Hopefully by fall.
Okay.
I'm aiming by fall. We'll see how that goes.
So if you're listening to this, it's June the 26th. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're listening to this like currently now as it came out, if you're listening to this in 3 years, go back and look up MatthewCory's music from the fall of 23.
Yeah, it's gonna be something special. I can guarantee that. And also, while we're talking about the subject, because the title of the album is gonna be called Thrive in Faith.
Okay.
And the reason that I chose to name my first Christian album Thrive in Faith is because I have a clothing line named Thrive in Faith. And I don't personally handle the merchandise, but if y'all are out there and want to purchase some clothes for a great cause, go to merchlink.com and type in Thrive in Faith, and anything that you purchase on the website, I get 20% of it, and that goes straight to Christian missionaries.
That's awesome. Send me the link after the show, and then I'll put it in the notes when we post the show out. So how did you get involved in that?
Well, back to the Benny DeVille thing.
All right.
I was trying to make I didn't have money to go and buy hundreds of different size shirts to go out and sell. So like I was looking for a way like I could get them on demand.
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically what MerchLink does. Like
Okay.
they take 80% of the profit because they make the clothes, they send it straight to the person
Right.
who ordered it, but they give you that 20% to do what you want with it.
Right.
And I don't profit none of it. Because it started out like I wanted to give back. I wanted to give more. I wanted to do it. I wanted to give it to people that are out here in the field actually doing the right things.
Yeah.
And because I have a personal friend that he's a missionary, and he just went out to Utah, like building a church out there, and he's who I sent my first donation to.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, man. Shout out Ricky.
Ricky. I don't know Ricky. But
Hey, man, Ricky's a great dude, and he'll probably see this. And yeah, so yeah, anything that you donate, or any shirt that you buy, anything you donate, like this right here, this is on the website. Many more designs coming out. Plus, I got some MatthewCory merch going up soon.
there you go.
Yeah, so anything that you purchase is going to a great cause.
Cool, man. Good deal. We need more of that stuff. People have, I don't know, I've seen a million Christian clothing companies like come and go over the years, and I think that the deal was that nobody ever put the funding behind it to like really get it going. But what you're talking about is that's easy. Like there's no investment on your part.
Right.
You just put the link out and people buy it or they don't. And
Yeah. The only thing I do, I own the name and the designs.
Right.
That's it.
So you design all the stuff.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. Good
Yep.
deal.
I personally
Good deal.
design everything that's on there.
I got you. Well, speaking of personally designing, we're talking about writing songs. So apart from our faith, obviously, which is the object, the subject of your music, and then your experiences, where do you draw inspiration from?
Inspiration. I feel like inspiration can come from many different places. A lot of times it does come from my past and makes me realize that's a place I don't ever want to go again. But also the present. Like I look down at my son every day, and that's all the inspiration in the world that I need.
Yeah.
And cause like to me right now he is Superman, and I want to be Superman. Like I want him to see me chasing my dreams and never give up on his.
Yeah.
Because people will write you off so quick and tell you that you can't do what you want to do.
Right.
And like that's just like me quitting this toxic job I've had for the last 8 years, like a warehouse job that they told me I couldn't ever do anything bigger or better because I lacked the education. So I mean, really, without a plan, I quit. I didn't even put a 2 weeks notice in. I just yeah. And I mean, it was a struggle for a while, but I mean, my motive and my motto was that like God will provide. Like it might not seem like it in that time period, but He will provide, and one way or another. Like my family's not going to go hungry.
Well, it's not. He does, and it's not what you think it's going to be necessarily, right? But you got a pretty good gig now, and it gives you the opportunity to create and make music.
Yeah, and that's what I've been missing. And like since before this, it's been probably a year since I had released music, which it's all gone now. You can find Benny DeVille on there through somebody else, and check out my old stuff. But yeah, it's all gone, and I'm starting straight from scratch. And the biggest thing that I can take from starting from scratch is the 7 years of previous experience that got me that far, that I can start in the beginning with right here.
Well, whether you're talking about worldly things or godly things, when you get into a recording booth and you're sitting behind a microphone, that's the same experience.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So it's not all that stuff you did. Those 7 years were not wasted,
right?
Because you're bringing experience with you now, and the message is different. But you're a veteran of 7 years now, as opposed to walking in for the first time and trying to cut tracks and.
Yeah, I can remember that first time in the studio. It was crazy. But I feel alive when I'm in the booth, and that is my happy place.
Right,
is all I can say. Like it's meditation for real. It's like counseling.
Music, like you said, does that anyway. Like it's there for you. It's like medicine, or it's like poison. But to be able to create and use this mind that God gave us for, it's not a. It's an outside of the box kind of thing, creating music.
And I'll say this about being an artist, like a lot of people don't understand, is your music may be relatable to 100,000 people, but you're the one that's vocalizing it. Like there might be 1 million people that feel exactly what you're saying, but you're the one that said it.
Right.
And so there's going to be a lot of judgment on your part, and they're going to be like, man, did he really just say that? Is this really how he's feeling? Even though that might be how they're feeling.
Right.
But yeah, you're the one that vocalizes how you feel. So artists put a lot on the line when they write what they write.
That's the importance too of telling stories in your music, because like you can just say things. We talked about the way that rap and really country both went when we were talking about how big our truck was or how much money we have. Like I don't have a big truck and I can't relate to that, you know. But when you get on the mic and you're talking about struggling and really dealing with hard times and wrestling with things and God showing you mercy and grace, like I can relate to that.
Right. Like 90% of the world can relate to that more than the mainstream stuff.
Right.
And I'm not sure. I guess because it sounds good, and that's like, I guess that's where everybody wants to be at in their head. They want to be materialistic rich instead of godly rich.
Right.
And those are two totally different things. Like, because I mean, I don't have $100,000. Like, I don't even really got $10,000 on my name right now. But to me, I'm rich. I mean, I got a healthy family. I got a newfound love for God and a newfound talent to glorify God. Like, really, I wake up every day like feeling super blessed now, and I'm super rich.
Super rich. That's a great way to say it. Yeah.
I'm filthy rich.
There you go. Oh, no, that's awesome, man. That's good stuff. We're in the process of recording music. Where are you recording? We kind of started talking about this off air.
Yeah. Right now I'm currently recording down Acworth and the Decatur area, like anywhere between there.
Now you got a deal, or are you just renting studio time at this point?
Renting studio time. I've never actually had a deal. I thought it would be easier if I had a deal, but I think independent's probably the best way to go nowadays.
Maybe. I don't know. I had a guy on a while back, AJ Cardamone, and he talked about this and how the deal wasn't necessarily the way to go because they front you money up front,
and
right?
then they own your music.
And they own you, and then if you don't make that amount of money back for them, then you got to pay them, or you're never going to record again. And so indie, and it's easy these days to be independent. Like this is the age to do it. Yeah, right. And that's what we're doing right here. Like this show doesn't belong to anybody, and I don't have an agent, and it doesn't. We're in a church building right now, recording this podcast with some microphones that Tango has accumulated over the years, and But you could put down. I mean, we could set up a drum kit and guitars in here, or whatever whatever your thing is, and just do it and put it out now. And it's so much easier to get your stuff out.
Yeah, there's so many platforms. And like, I mean, it's good and bad. Like, I found myself getting addicted to TikTok.
Oh, man.
Yeah, like, so I deleted it for a while, but like my wife, man, she's super addicted to TikTok. And I kind of deleted everything for a while just to take a social media break because that stuff does manipulate people. But me being an artist, I kind of need that kind of platform. I just released a little video on TikTok that just got over 22,000 streams on it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a little snippet of my new song.
What's your TikTok?
MatthewCory.
Of course.
It might be MatthewCory 17. I don't know.
Let's look it up. We got to find
Yeah, let's look it up, man. I'll give y'all my TikTok.
Yeah, shout out all the socials, man. Where can they find your music and download? I don't know, are we downloading?
Okay, yeah. It's Matthew_Cory.
That's the TikTok.
Yeah, that's TikTok.
You got Instagram or Facebook?
I got Instagram. Facebook, you can just find me at Matthew Benefield or follow my fan page. It's MatthewCory_music. My Instagram handle is just MatthewCory Music.
There you go.
Yeah,
keeping
it simple.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. You can go, I don't know, watching, you see numbers and things that you do on Instagram and Facebook give you feedback, and it's cool to see where, like, I was looking at mine not long ago, and like somebody in China has listened to this show. You know what I mean? Like,
that is the best part about it. Like, even before me being MatthewCory, like when I was still going by Benny DeVille, like most of my streamers was coming from like South Korea, Vietnam, Japan, like third world countries and stuff, and they was really loving it. I was like, man, can they even understand what I'm saying?
Well, that's what you think about the priorities that somebody has, right? And they live in some of these places that aren't America and they don't have the things that we have, but they take what they have. They've gotten a phone or whatever, and they listen to your stuff.
Yeah, it's
Right?
amazing.
It's to me at least. It's humbling. Man, it's
and
really
you won't
cool.
even get that kind of love from the people that know you.
Man, right?
Like I've done out of 7 years, I've done one show in Rome, and it was my first show I ever did. And other than that, like I had a bunch of negative stuff going on in Rome. Like nobody really, but that's the people that know you and grew up with you.
Right.
That's gonna be your biggest haters.
Yeah.
Like I went to Chattanooga, Atlanta. Like I said with the Atlanta thing, people were singing my stuff back to me, and they don't even know me. Like so, I feel like once you get outside of where you're from, you're gonna find a lot more love.
We're not in a real big town here anyway, so as far as getting exposure and things, and
it's hard to find places to perform here.
Right? Yeah, there's not a ton of venues for that kind of thing around here, which is a shame. Because I mean, it seems like you're the third in my last 10 episodes. You're the third rapper that I've had on, and it's not like
that's awesome. Really.
I know, right? I'm not like seeking out
percentage.
rappers, but it is out of 3 out of 10. Is that right? Since this is 3 out of 10 because I think AJ was 105. AJ was one of the last ones I had before I started doing video. Right. Yeah.
Because I think this is just Vince and Matt.
Vincent, yeah, since we did video, and then
since we kicked over to me.
Yeah. Even still, so maybe the last 12 episodes.
Yeah, it's
but,
still awesome.
But still.
Yeah, it's cool. But you guys, I got to all get together and start a label or something around here. And
yeah, that'd be cool. I didn't realize there was that many Christian artists.
I didn't either
here.
until I had a podcast and people started going, "Hey man, let me do that show." Okay, come on, I need a guest, so it works out.
Yeah, trying to get some exposure for both of us.
Yeah, well, I saw that you had posted about your single, and I guess it was kind of late. I don't know, like not like super late, but like late for somebody with little kids in their house. And I was like, I'm gonna message him tomorrow and see if he wants to come on the podcast. And you messaged me like 2 minutes later. I was like, well, okay, I guess he's supposed to be on the show.
Yeah, so, I seen you liking. I was like, man, he's got a podcast.
Let's not get carried away now with the size of this audience. I don't know. Maybe a couple dozen people are gonna. No, it's a little more than that. But I'm not Joe Rogan. But
hey, man, everything's a process.
It is. But no, that's what I've kind of come to understand about this is that it's about consistency, and staying with it and doing it, recording the same day every week and releasing the same day every week. And then, as far as music goes, there's so much out there now that you got to produce something regularly or people forget about you.
Yeah, it might be hot 1 minute and then it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you do? How do you stay how do you produce music and regularly and stay regular like that?
Well, honestly, it just comes natural to me. Honestly, like I'll play a beat, and I mean there might be 100 beats I go through before I feel like writing to something. And really, what I like to do is really freestyle, like to, not the whole song, but just to get a vibe, like to really see where I'm at with it. But to be honest, like the last 6 months, I might ride around and have the radio turned off. Like I was going through a lot, and it wasn't until a couple months ago where I really, once I got back in the right state of mind and like because I've been suffering from anxiety and depression,
right,
and I was on medication and everything. Like right now, I'm weaning myself off the medication because I don't like how it makes me feel.
Right.
And plus, I mean, I'm a big supporter of mental health now.
For sure. Yeah.
Like, cause I mean, that's something that you don't really know about till you're going through it. Like people overlook it.
Yeah.
And like, there's like, man, it's just a mind thing, mind over matter. I'm like, no, dude, it is not.
Well, when you have a chemical imbalance in your brain, that's a whole different thing.
Yeah. And so like, I was really going through it, and I was like, man, I don't even want to make music no more. Like, so like music really, I wouldn't listen to nobody. I just was riding around without the radio on.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah. And then like a couple months ago, I was just like, man, like, because everything's been so great in my life. Like God's been blessing me. I'm like, man, but something's missing. Something's missing. What's missing? Music
is missing.
So,
yeah.
And the first, this is gonna sound crazy though, that the first beat I clicked on within those last months was the beat to my new single, and I wrote that single in 30 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah. And just ever since then, man, like every everything's just been coming to me. Those 7 songs came super fast.
Yeah.
It might be because I was just so built up and ain't made no music in like a year.
Maybe.
But I mean, even before then, I was pretty quick on my feet. I never run out of inspiration. I just love music, and I love for people to hear my music. When I made my very first song, like I remember when I was still in high school, I wasn't even making songs back then, but I would be going to these parties and freestyling and stuff.
Yeah.
And people like after a while was like, man, you're really good. Like why don't you just try to write a song and make a song? I was like, nah, man, that ain't me. And then one day I actually did start writing a song, and I made the song and I had released it to YouTube, and I had got a lot of backlash for it, but I also got a lot of love, like not a lot of love, but a little bit of love for it. And one day it was terrible quality, but cause I produced it in my basement by myself, but my buddy, man, he hit me up and he was like, man, I just want to let you know that song that you put out, like what you said in that song, like helped me through the day. And like that meant the world to me.
Yeah.
Like that's why I continued to make music. That's what it was all about.
Right.
And so everybody else, well, not everybody else, but a lot of people was like, man, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? Like, why are you putting yourself out there like this? This is garbage. My best friend at the time, he was like, man, can I make music with you? And I was like, man, I don't know if you want to do that, man. like everybody is hating on me. He's like, well, if they're hating on you, they're gonna have to hate me too.
There you go.
And that formed a brotherly bond that could never be broken, and that's what made the music a lot stronger. But then over time, like that love that I got from people just telling me that my song made their day or changed their day, like it started going from like I was getting more noticed. People was hitting me up that would never talk to me before at all, and like so yeah, that's when Benny DeVille kind of started overtaking my life.
Yeah.
And
well, it's easy, right? And you get a little praise. Somebody's like, hey, man, you're pretty good at that. You're talented. You're smart. You're funny, or whatever it is. And you start thinking, yeah, I am. Right?
Right, yeah. Yeah, because I mean, like I don't know. Growing up, I liked attention. Like I played sports. I was a 3-sport athlete until I tore my ACL. And then I kind of needed another outlet. And I guess that's kind of where music came in. And like, I don't know, I had went years without somebody saying like good job or something, or giving me any kind of credit, which I'm not, I mean, I don't need the credit, you know, but it's nice to get a pat on the back. Nice. It is. And like, so when that happened, I was like, man, this really could be it. And like, so like that, ever since I was a kid, like, man, if I'm into something, I'm all into it. Yeah. And so that's how I was like, man, I'm going all in with this.
You have to. That's what AJ talked about when he was here, and he's younger. AJ's 17, I think, but he doesn't have a plan B. Like, he's in on music, but if you're gonna make it, like, you have to be. When you look at people,
you can't have a plan B.
No, you look at somebody like, we talked about Ric Flair earlier. Like, pro wrestling is what it is, but he's the greatest to ever do it. Michael Jordan was the greatest basketball player of all time. It's because there was no plan B.
Right, it was that or nothing.
Yeah. But it sounds like, that's where you're headed, and you got to pay bills in the meantime, obviously. So you got a job, but
I had the same mentality when I was younger, but it didn't take off like that. So I eventually had to get a real job, but it never stopped me. I got a real job, and that's why I got so content with working in that warehouse, because I knew that wasn't going to be my last stop.
Right.
Like, this is just a paycheck that's going to get me into the studio, that's going to make these songs, that's going to get me in front of the right person. Yeah. And that was my mentality. And then I had a child, and then that kind of slowly started dimming a little bit. Yeah. Because things got more expensive. Yeah. Inflation hit. So yeah, that dream kind of dimmed out a little bit along the process of everything else I was going through at the time. Right. So, but yeah, like, that dream is back in full effect because it's for the right reason now. Yeah. And I love it. I cannot believe where I'm at right now.
Well, people don't live their dreams. We talked about this on here before. People don't do that. They have a dream and it's great, and something happens and they're like, well, that's that. That's the end of their dream, right? What they thought about when they were a little boy, a little girl. This is what I've always wanted to do. And then something happens and they're like, nah. And then they never go back to it. So, if nothing else, hopefully somebody gets, stay with your dream.
Yeah, got to.
And it's not even about being rich and famous,
No, it's about doing what you love. Yeah. And like, cause I couldn't tell you I could tell you one person that I know that really enjoys their job and loves their job and can wake up every morning with a smile on their face to go do their job.
It's just a handful of people, man.
Yeah, not many at all.
Yeah.
Like, and I got to the point where like I hated my job. Like I couldn't even be there even for 8 hours. Like I got to do something different, and that's why I spontaneously just quit like out of nowhere. And I really, like I said, I didn't have a plan, but God was gonna provide one way or another. And now I got me a new job. Now this is in front of me, and hopefully that can pay the bills one day.
There you go. So speaking of, what's next? What's the next plan? I mean, we're hoping that these songs drop and get a gajillion downloads, and then your career takes off. But realistically, what do you see happening next?
Well, as of right now, if you need life insurance, I'm your guy. You know, I can get you a good quote. But my next step is to push this music super hard, and never give up on it, and just keep grinding, man. Keep promoting every day. Yeah. Keep resharing it. Keep putting it on different platforms. Put it in front of different people in new ways every day until the right person hears it, or it just blows up. Yeah. And yeah, once the more songs I get, the more credibility I guess I'll have. Because I'm still new as far as an artist, like with this new genre, and completely new to a bunch of people. Yeah. So like I'm building my credibility and I'm building my playlist. So like the more songs I get is the more I'll have to offer people. Yeah. Like if they was to book me right now, all I could do is hop on stage and do one little song for you. Right. But maybe in 6 months from now, I can do 45 minutes for you. And yeah, I mean, the money to pay the bills, like if I could make what I make in a week, like $500 a week, you know, like $1,000 every 2 weeks, $2,000 a month, like just to get by, but doing what I love. Yeah, that would be incredible. Right. And I know with like Christian music, like they do it a little different. Like you're not gonna be in clubs at midnight on Friday, like with a bunch of drunk audience around you and stuff like that. No shade, but yeah, like a lot of music, Christian music stuff's like festivals during the day. Yeah. And that fits really well with me being a parent. And oh yeah. And so I can bring my kid with me to do this stuff. You can't be in a smoky room at 1 o'clock in the morning somewhere. Yeah. Can't bring my son. Me and my wife would beat the crap out of him. Oh man, yeah. Well, you talk about what Christian music is, and how it's different than other music as far as where you perform, things like that. Do you draw any inspiration from some of these pioneers in Christian music, guys like KJ or Toby Mac or any of the names that we think of? Actually, Toby Mac, man. Toby Mac I ain't been listening to him long, probably 6 months. Like I said, like 6 months right now is a huge issue for me. And like so I've been listening to Toby Mac like really a lot. Like that's all I listen to is a lot of Toby Mac, Lecrae. There's this guy named 1K Pew from Atlanta. He's pretty good. He actually does these little skits also like the Bible, but like in like Atlanta terms. Okay. It's kind of crazy. It is. I've checked that out. Yeah, check that out on YouTube. Like he tells like the story of David and Goliath and everything, but like in Atlanta terms. And all right. Yeah, I mean it's pretty cool. I mean it's definitely different. I mean especially like for today's generation. And like, but my thing is you don't want to go too far away from the truth to where it becomes an exaggeration. Right. And like that's where like I found myself conflicted with the music, because even though I'm promoting the right thing, I don't want it be exaggerated to something that it's not. Well, you can't. I mean, if we're basing what we do on scripture, ultimately, right, you can't add to that. Right. You can't take anything away from it. So you put your testimony in there with these biblical principles. Right. And that's where your music comes from. But keep doing that. Yeah, I mean, that seems like the right way to. I've never written a song before, but that's got to be the right way. That's how. Yeah. I mean, that's how I write a sermon. Yeah, and that's definitely that's where I'm going with this album. Like a lot of these songs that I'm making on the album, like I kind of even make it easier for you to listen to it, like and tell the difference between my testimony and actual scripture. Like there might be one verse where I'm just throwing all this scripture at you, and then do a chorus, and then come back and then throw my whole testimony that matches that scripture. Right. Like it's kind of crazy how I've lined it up. Like it's different. It's kind of different than what I used to make, but not totally different because like I would have a bunch of derogative stuff like in the beginning, but towards and like they might be negative songs,
Right.
like depression and stuff like that, stuff that I touched base on even at like going by Benny DeVille. But at the other end of the song, like it was still positive. Like man, no matter if you're going through this, like there's still a better outcome in it.
Yeah.
And like so that's why I didn't always think my music was that bad. Like yeah, I cursed in it, and yeah, I reference things that I shouldn't have referenced.
Right.
But like it always did have positive messages for the most part. There was a couple songs that was just silly.
Yeah. That's who we used to be, right?
Yeah.
So for people that have never heard your music before, is there somebody that you compare your style to? Oh, that's a totally unfair question, I know. But
I actually was gonna ask that. I was like, oh, is this like NF flavor? Is this Minio, Lecrae? Like, can we? Because like I feel like NF does carry that some of that brokenness with him, where he can get into those
NF,
darker places and then bring it to hope.
I love NF style. And like I would say like NF probably is like a good comparison for me, but as me, I don't know like cause like NF like cause like honestly like Caucasian rappers like you kind of get like.
It's a different flavor. It's a different style. I mean, it's a different lyrical
like
set.
You always get that Eminem comparison, or like you know what I'm saying, and like it's kind of really unfair because nowadays there are multiple people to choose from. But a lot of my flow and like the stuff where I get like my rhythm, my flow, my mentality on how I write a song, like it comes from like I would say like Tupac. Like Tupac was a big inspiration for me, and also, when I was growing up, I was really into like alternative, like music, like rock and stuff, like Green Day and like stuff, like really like so like
you're not that old, man. You're like going way back.
Yeah, dude, like and like Linkin Park and stuff like that, like and like honestly, before I started rapping, like when I was in middle school, dude, I used to like put my little iPod, like the iPod, not no iPhone, iPod,
the iPod,
and I would do these covers to like American Hi-Fi. Like I can't sing worth of crap, but I'm really trying to expand my range. But like I would do that because that's the type of music I was into, and like even now writing raps, like even all the raps that I wrote, and like it kind of mirrors that kind of stuff. Like so like he gets a bad rap, but like I would say a lot of my stuff would be kind of compared to Machine Gun Kelly, because he's kind of rock, he's kind of rap.
He's got that flavor of everything. Like he's kind of done it all, and he's got the pop side, he's got the punk side.
Y'all are losing me.
MGK's done it all though. Like
I've never heard any of his music. I've heard everybody that
I'm certain
you mentioned
have.
up until maybe I have, and just not know who it was. I don't know.
But like the last couple months though, like if I was gonna go based off of strictly like Christian artists, Toby Mac is a humongous influence. I love his story, like not just his music, but his whole story.
Yeah,
like it's deep, and
Toby's been around forever too.
Dude,
man.
Like, I was just looking him up, like he's like almost 60, dude.
Yeah,
like still out here pushing.
And he's still making music that, and I try to be careful with the term relevant. Right, because I'm a pastor and I just want to preach the gospel, and relevant is not, on my radar. But for a musician, for an artist, it kind of is.
Goes that long.
And he's been at it forever, and he's been relevant this whole time.
Like people that's not even into Christian music know who Toby Mac is, and like like Toby Mac is that guy.
Man, have you ever seen Toby?
No, I was gonna go to his last concert, but I know he's going on tour, and he's coming back to Atlanta with is it Mercy Me, I think, and and Zach Williams maybe.
Yeah,
like that would be an awesome concert to go to.
Toby, his shows are fantastic.
I bet I watched him live on YouTube, so I could definitely see it. Yeah.
I've seen him a couple times.
Yeah, Toby, man, like that would definitely be an awesome concert to go to.
No, he puts on it, and he's got like there's like 20 people on stage with him doing all kinds of stuff, musicians,
live instruments, everything.
No, it's wild. It's a great show.
Yeah, and I like how he writes his songs. I like how he don't let rap limit him. And like that's how I feel. Like I don't want to be limited to just rap, even though I feel like I can't sing. Like, but I feel like I am an artist because a lot of times, like when I come out with these songs, people ask me, "Did you write that?" did you write that? Like, who else wrote it? Like, you think I got money to pay somebody to write this? But no, like, so I do feel like I am an artist, and I want to take that to the next level. And like Toby, man, like he's a great example of that.
You made a great point. You said he doesn't let rap limit him. He has songs where he raps, and he has songs where he sings, and he has songs where he does both, and it's fantastic. And it's like he's like created his own genre of music almost. And so, but I mean, maybe that's you one day.
I hope so.
Know, and
I hope so.
Gone on to do something nobody else has done before, and
yeah, man, following Toby's footsteps, man.
Yeah, well, and I don't know, we've kind of gone down this path, and I want to be careful with that too, because I always encourage people to not try to be the next.
Oh yeah,
you know,
sure.
whatever,
like
be the first you. Yeah,
for sure.
So, but I think you know what I'm getting at there, and I hope the listener does also. But do you feel like I made sense on that, Tango? Cool. Yeah, that's great. That's all that really matters. As long as Tango
keep
gets
it original.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing better than the original.
Right. But yeah, so you keeping it real, keeping it original, and you do write all your own songs.
Yep.
I don't know. I mean, I know it's a big thing it always has been in like rock music and country music for other people to write songs that somebody else performs. Is that a thing in rap? Like, do rappers do that?
I think they do. Like, I know some of them do. I know some of them still write their own songs, but I know once like you hit that mainstream level, like, and you get money, and like, I mean, they got, I think like one of Drake's albums, or it might have been Future, like they had like 100 and something writers.
Oh, all the ghostwriters are
like
insane with those guys.
Yeah, so they take your style and basically how you go, and then they just pick that up and go from there.
Tailor a song to you.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I would think that, I don't know, the rap that I enjoyed almost has to be written by the rapper.
Yeah. Tupac, Biggie, NWA, all of them. Even Lil Wayne, man, ain't nobody else writing their
no,
music.
Like, that's all them. Life experience that nobody else could write for them. But it's, I don't know, when you're putting a different message out, I guess it doesn't matter as much if somebody else writes it. That said, MatthewCory writes all his songs. I'll be clear on that.
Yeah, I'm also testing the water, like, because I know, like, with Christian music, like see, we got these old school hymns, you know. So I'm trying to I'm only done it with one song so far, but I'm trying to test the waters with it and like try to I'm not trying to recreate it at all, but maybe like put my own twist on it a little bit. And even like some of the prayers that we know, like bedtime prayers, maybe Lord's prayers and stuff like that, and kind of take that under my own wing and kind of expand it a little bit.
I don't know that anybody has done that in like the rap genre. I know there was a group that was associated with, was it North Point Church in Atlanta? Louis Giglio's church way back. Their house band did an album called Hymns Old and Modern, where they recreated hymns. They were a band. They had guitars and drums and the whole 9 yards. They played all the hymns from what was, I think, like the 1911 hymnal that you find in so many churches.
Jeez
that
Louise.
When it was written,
it
was called Hymns Old and Modern, and it was wild, right? Like nobody, like, I can't believe you wrote these songs and you're singing them in church. So in 1911, when they introduced all these songs, it was crazy and nobody could imagine. And then 100 years later, this would have been 2005, 4 or 5 that they were doing this again. So a 100-year cycle, like music had come back around again. But that's kind of the thing that you're talking about, like recreating these hymns.
And like artists like that can play their own instruments and sing. Like, I feel like that is a really easy outlet to do a cover.
Mm-hmm.
Because like going to church, like with people, I know people that do that. Like they'll sing the hymns, but like with their own twist on it.
Right.
And I always thought that was so cool. And I was like, man, how can I do this but rap it? And like, so I tried.
We're gonna find out, I guess.
We're gonna find out. Yeah, y'all definitely got to get back to me on that and give me all the feedback.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. What? Where we at on time?
Right at that 48-minute mark.
Okay, I was gonna ask you, like you weren't keeping up when I asked. You were like, "Oh, I was supposed to be watching."
I was like, I'm watching, but I'm keeping notes too.
Taking notes.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that's what we can charge for on Patreon. Like you can get access to Tango's notes after the episode.
Absolutely. Just have a live
awesome.
cam over here the whole time.
So where do you get you talk about finding beats. Where do you get your beats?
for a while I would just like use YouTube, but for a long time I tried to like reach out locally.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't always work out so well. But there's actually an app now called BeatStars, which is like every producer that produces beats. Like I guess it's global. Yeah, because I bought some beats from people that overseas, but like, and they like rappers. You know, you're gonna put your music on Spotify, Pandora, or whatever. Right. They put their beats on here, and then they have a price for them, and you can download for free. But that comes with limitations on what you can do with them, or you can lease them, and that still comes with limitations.
How do you lease a beat?
It's actually the easiest way to do it.
Is it really?
Yeah, because when I first started out, I thought you had to exclusively have these beats, and so I was spending like, I remember for 2 songs I paid $500. 2 beats I paid $500. But exclusive means that nobody else in this world can have that beat but you.
Okay, so it costs a little more.
Yeah, so like you can do whatever you want to with it. You can make as much money as you want to with it if it was to blow up. But like, so like when you lease a beat, and you can release it or go back and buy the exclusives later on.
Okay.
Like, but when you lease a beat, like it still gives you a really big limit on what you can do with it.
Right.
But yeah, that's definitely the cheapest.
But so when you lease one, you're not the only one that gets to use it.
No, there could be 100, 200 other people that got that same beat.
Nobody's got your lyrics though.
No, and they're like almost every time that I record something over a beat, I'll send it back to the producer just to see what they like about it.
Yeah.
And a lot of them like tell me that that's the best they've heard off of it.
Okay.
And I'm not tooting my own horn, but I just like to get everybody's feedback because like I said, like off of the fan base that I do have, like it's especially starting over, like it's a very small local fan base, and it's people that know me. Like, so they might not always be 100%, like, because they don't want to tell me the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And so, like, I like getting people I don't know at all, like, to, hey, man, what do you think about it? And, like, really, because that's how you'll really know, because these people don't know you. They don't care if they hurt your feelings.
Right, yeah, it doesn't matter at all.
I don't care if they hurt my feelings anyway, because there's a reason I wrote what I wrote and I said what I said. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, feedback is really big. And a lot of times you don't get the feedback.
Right.
And that good or bad is better than none.
Yeah. No, it's bad. Even bad publicity is still publicity, right?
Yeah.
Feedback's always great, one way or the other. Well, even if it's bad, you take it and you go, well, I won't do that again.
Right.
I'll try a different direction.
Learn from it.
Whatever. Yeah. So you got one in the can. You got 7 more coming. What's the album called?
My album is actually, I thought it was only right to name it the name of my clothing line, Thriving Faith.
Okay.
So yeah, my album's gonna be called Thriving Faith. It's got 7 songs on it to represent Jesus, the number 7.
Yeah.
Because that's right outside of the EP range, to where you can call it an album.
Okay.
And yeah, so I didn't want to waste too much time between this single and the album coming out. So I wanted it to be short, but not too short. But like, and I didn't want to water it down at all. I wanted every 7 songs to hit you hard. And and that's what I'm going for.
Well, we can do that. Like we talked about being consistent, but like if you do put out a new song every week, like that might be too much. Right. If you put out 6 or 7 here and there and that hit real hard, then
it buys you some time.
Yeah, well, it does. It does. It frees you up a little bit creativity wise, and like there's such a thing as writer's block. Even for musicians, for artists.
I've had writer's block, and it takes a lot to get over that.
Yeah.
Too. And I know, like, even before, like, I don't know, I was just always eager. Like, whenever I left the studio, I was always eager to, like, let people know what I just did.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I would drop it right then, like, no promotion at all. like, here, go listen to this. Yeah. This is amazing. And that, but I realized that promotion, even though you want people to hear, like, what you just did, like, you need to promote it, because if you don't promote it, then you're not going to get the views, which that's what you're ultimately doing it for. Especially that's what you're doing as an artist and a musician anyway, but in this field specifically, like, I'm trying to reach people that can't normally get reached by going to church.
Right.
And I sent that song to my pastor and one of the deacons at my church, and they both messaged me back and was like, man, I think that you can really get to some people that we can't reach, that or like won't even come to church type deal. And that kind of was like sealed it for me.
Well, that's what AJ said. One of the other guys that I had on, he was like, people will listen to my songs that won't listen to a sermon. But then they'll listen to the song, and then maybe that opens up the door and they do want to listen to the sermon. So it's a different way just to expose people to the faith and reach out to people that wouldn't have walked into the doors of a church, but they might now, because this guy that makes this kind of music that I like believes this same stuff. Maybe it's not so bad, and I can go in there, and
it definitely opens the door for them, because I know a lot of people around me that's got they got their personal relationship with God, and like a lot of people, like, they don't like to be pressed with the issue,
right?
And I mean, nobody likes to be pressed with anything. I mean, me selling life insurance, I know that. Like, like even sometimes, like, or I used to, I haven't lately, but I would go door knocking like after work and like hand out pamphlets and flyers for my church and stuff. I'd get doors slammed in my face all the time.
All the time, yeah.
Yeah, and nobody likes to be pressed into that stuff. But at the same time, like, the urgency of it. And like, especially the days that we live in right now, I mean, it's easy to see, like, I mean, we don't know that when it's going to be the end, but it's getting close, like,
hey, well, it's closer now than it's ever been.
Right? Right. And like, so like the people that you love, like, you really want them with you at the next level, you know? And one thing that really sealed it for me a long time ago, like when I got saved, like that really kind of like sealed my faith for sure. Like, cause I really wasn't even doing it for myself at the time, like because of this that I heard. Like, I heard that if you went to hell, that you would remember everything and everybody.
Ooh.
But if you go to heaven, you will not remember anything negative or anything that's not in heaven with you.
Yeah.
And that hit me on another level. Like, I was like, man, like, and like, cause like, my son was an infant at the time. Like, so like, infants are going to go to heaven. And I'm like, man, my son won't even know who I was. Or like my grandma and my granddad, like, man, like, I let them down and they ain't even going to know. And I'm going to be sitting down there and I'm going to remember all of it.
Yeah.
And like, so that kind of hit me on another level. Like, man, if I'm not doing this for me, I got to do this for them. But I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, that's still kind of a bad way to look at it, because you got to have your own relationship with God.
Sure, right.
But that was just enough to kind of get my foot in the door.
Well, it's not wrong to think of it that way.
Right.
And to want to be, like, it's eternity, right? You can't, once we're there, you can't change it.
Yeah.
So you got to get it
ain't
right
no
on this
back,
side.
man.
Yeah.
And like, you got to let people know, like, this is your one chance. Like, and I'll say this from experience. Like, man, God saved me so many times. Like, if you don't believe in second chances, man, I believe in 50 second chances. I know God's done gave me 100,000 second chances.
Right. Yeah.
Like, and in my experience, like I talk about this in one of my songs. Like, he gives us an option to do good or do wrong, but he knew we would choose to do wrong, and so he gave us forgiveness.
There you go.
And so, like, man, like, in my experience, like, there might be situations where I chose the wrong path multiple times, but I kept, maybe not in the same form, but definitely the same situation would come back to you later on. Like, are you gonna do the same thing again?
Yeah.
And he just keeps coming at you with it until you choose that right option.
Yeah. No, that's good stuff, man. That's good stuff.
Yeah, for sure, man.
He's good. He's good all the time. And he blesses us and allows us to chase our dreams, right?
Right.
That's awesome, man. I think we're going to jump off right there. You feel good about it?
I feel great.
Tango feels great.
All
I appreciate it, man. It's been good having you on.
No problem.
We'll do it again sometime.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
God bless you guys. We love you. See you next time. Thank you for watching Burnham Podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah, it's MatthewCory. I'm giving all the glory to God. Let's go. Hey, they ask me where I've been getting right. They ask me where I've been, fighting for my life. I tell them things have changed. They say I ain't the same. Say I ain't the same. Yeah, I ain't the same. They ask me where I've been getting right. They ask me where I've been, fighting for my life. I tell them things have changed. They say I ain't the same. Say I ain't the same. Yeah, I ain't the same. I've been talking to the Lord about all my problems, everything I'm going through and how far I've fallen. He told me sit tight. Yeah, I hear him talking. I waited on these blessings and now I'm falling. I've been sober 6 months and it's been straight. I've been fighting.